If you play a video game and enjoy it thoroughly, would you care how much AI was used to make it if it wasn't noticeable? If all the systems worked together well and the graphics were beautiful and the story was engaging and the characters were well designed, would you care if the company used AI mainly to make the game? I think most people would still argue yes for one or more reasons, whether ethical or moral, or just the fact that some people are rightfully hesitant to see AI take a bigger role in game development than it already has. But how much of this panic is really around a technology we don't fully understand, and how much of it is actually valid? Honestly, by the time you finish this video, you might never look at the future of video games the same again, and that's not an exaggeration. Things like procedural generation or adaptive difficulty settings, dynamic NPC behavior, are all examples of widely implemented AI systems used across the industry for a long time now, and people don't complain or care about these things, so why the sudden pushback against AI in games now? The Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor, the dynamic reactions from the enemy in something like Alien Isolation are all AI systems, but I think you have to take a closer look at how that AI is being used nowadays. When you have a developer design a tree in a forest, and then he punches in some code into a system that will take his created image and spit out 100 new variations of it so he doesn't have to sit there and tweak with different branches and leaves, that's fine and proper use of tools and AI systems. Why would I want a dev wasting 1,000 hours designing 100 variations of his tree to put across a game's forest when an AI system could do that for him in a fraction of the time? That 1,000 hours would be better spent on working on gameplay systems and things that enhance the gameplay or allow him to now work on sculpting his next character or world design. Certain things in video games need a human soul and a human element. World design, character design, story writing, gameplay systems, music, voice acting, much more are like things like that are things that require like a human element or a human soul. Any kind of thing like that just to feel special. No AI system will ever be able to compare or come close to that, at least not in any kind of time soon. The thing we have to recognize though is the different types of AI and the ones people are getting upset about, and that's the generative ones. You see, even in the latest Call of Duty game, you have images with characters drawn with 6 fingers that look like they were spit straight out of ChatGPT. This type of BS is exactly what's getting buttholes puckered and people's panties in a bunch. It's not that it feels lazy, it's that it looks like shit. But that's kind of my point. That's the disaster, and recently, because it's noticeable and it looked bad. But when it's not noticeable anymore and it looks good, how many people will care that AI and a bot created the art in the game instead of a human developer or a human artist? Studios are already drooling at the idea of replacing actual artists with a cheap robot. Picture a video game company having an open position for a spot on the dev team, and it'd be something like, okay, Mr. GPT, what skills do you bring to this new Persona game? Well, I imagine the answer would be something like this. I can write 400 quests per hour, and I have also analyzed 47,000 anime plots and prepared to write emotional relationships between traumatized teenagers with colorful hair at maximum efficiency. Okay, you're hired. Like, that's the future, literally. I know I'm just exaggerating and being stupid, but that's basically it. Worse even is that these AIs are trained off of human-created images and work that will now become irrelevant once it's mastered how to mimic it well enough beyond recognition. And not many people will care because most people won't notice, so most people won't care because they won't notice. It's an evil cycle. And unless there's some big sign in the game saying, hey, this was made with AI, people will never know, therefore it won't matter. How long before AI is like designing the music and the story for the next big PlayStation first-party title? I honestly don't know, and I don't think it's anytime soon, but the possibility of it not being never, that's what scares me. This directly leads into the debate of developers being forthright with the use of their AI and games and how it's used. Steam has made it mandatory to have a disclosure on your game if AI is used in the making or the development of your game. Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic Games, publicly said that labels like "made with AI" on store pages like Steam should be dropped because the use of AI will become universal, so it's irrelevant. He was literally quoted as saying, AI will be involved in nearly all future production. He argues that AI becomes a staple in game development, so the disclaimer is meaningless. So, I mean, that sounds about right coming from a corporate bozo like him, but I used to really respect this man and what he's achieved in the video game space. But with a statement like that, honestly, Tim Sweeney, you can just go kick rocks. Listen, the big companies don't want to have to disclose the use of AI because they're hoping that it gets to the point where we don't notice the difference. And if they can get one AI system to do the work of 100 devs and save all that money and still charge full price for the game, then why wouldn't they do that? They care more about making money for shareholders than they care about crafting a good experience for players nowadays. That's evident. So priority one, as it should be, I get it, is money. You're a company, your job is to make money. But at what cost is this extra money going to come at? How many jobs and how much creativity is going to be lost in the process? It starts with small things like creating small images or help with story ideas, and it mutates into something evil, and before you know it, you're going to have game companies where the majority of the staff is fucking robots. The new COD game already feels like it was written and produced by ChatGPT. Not a single person I've spoken to that's played that game is happy with it or says this doesn't feel weird or wrong or something like something was different happened here. And that's something different, I'm telling you right now, is heavy AI use. Now, the term "if you can't beat them, join them" kind of comes to mind sometimes. If future devs don't take advantage of all the new AI tools coming out, then they're going to be forced to basically make a lesser product than what they could have otherwise. I think partially yes and partially no, okay? I think AI has a general bad stigma about it, and I don't want to come off like one of those AI doom speakers or completely anti-AI. I'm all for AI when it's used in the right context. You need help with some research? Cool. You need help forming an idea or a fancy thesaurus or a better like alternative to Google? Then sure, it's awesome. But when you start letting it take like creative liberties, that's when things get fucked up. I don't want AI writing my game stories or designing key elements like I said before. It can be used for mundane things like sticks on a tree or things that don't require a human element. Then yeah, sure, that's a good thing. But when it's used as a tool and not a replacement, okay, that's fine. But I'm going to draw my line in the sand there. Most people see AI in games and immediately think, okay, evil robot taking over my favorite worlds. But that's lazy thinking as much as using AI is lazy game dev. AI isn't the villain. How it's used is what matters. Procedural content, dynamic difficulty, QA testing, all make games better. Sometimes faster, sometimes more accessible. Having a bot design your characters and write your story is just lazy bullshit. I don't care how you spin it. I don't hate the idea of a single dev with like a brilliant imagination, but limited programming skills being able to finally create his like perfect game because the AI tools used is so good that he can now produce something that he wouldn't have been able to produce without a team of people, and he can't afford a team of people otherwise. So sure, that's pretty cool. But those things still need to be disclosed. The CEO of Take-Two Interactive, Strauss Zelnick, recently said that Take-Two has been using AI tools since the very beginning. He clarified that while AI tools are employed, the creative genius behind games like GTA remains human, arguing that generative AI could not replicate the original story or the originality required for something like a AAA title as big as GTA. But Zelnick also admitted that AI could help with the efficiency by reducing mundane tasks, meaning repetitive or large-scale work such as environment generation, testing, or basic asset creation, and those, he said, are prime candidates for AI assistant. A former environmental artist credited with work on GTA 6 and prior titles actually said that AI has its uses for tedious tasks, but he actually came out and warned that it can't replace people when it comes to quality level assets, detail, polish, and overall craftsmanship. So the bottom line is that GTA 6 development pipeline is at least partially leveraging AI, but not in a way that replaces the core creative vision or any actual developers. Think of AI as a helper, not an author. And that's exactly how it should be used. Take Arc Raider's AI voice chat and voice changer, for example. Suddenly a player with a heavy accent or someone who just doesn't want to be stuck sounding like everyone else, or even a female who doesn't want to be bothered for being a female, because that happens, can sound however they want. Girls who don't want to be bothered in chats, foreign accents, all these things that make it harder to communicate, whatever. The tech actually gives people more freedom and personalization instead of just cutting dev costs. It allows people to change their voice, sound however they want to sound, and that makes a better multiplayer experience for everybody. So that's exactly the kind of AI I'm fine with. It's empowering people and it's making players, happier in the game, and it's not replacing any kind of human creativity. So that's fine. AI is already running parts of your favorite games, and companies don't exactly have a scoreboard showing how much. That made the little tag on Steam almost irrelevant. Team Sweeney called it pointless, And he's not right at all. This is a corporate goof statement, but he has an underlying point that it isn't wrong. Because eventually, if everything is made with AI and you wouldn't know because the technology will be indistinguishable from the real thing, then why will it matter? You won't know. So like I said before, you won't complain because you won't know. You can't care if you don't know. But that's almost exactly why that tag is important, right? So what does it mean for players moving forward? First, transparency goes out the window if that tag is gone. You pay for a story, a character, a world that you think is someone's creative vision, but how much of that was actually dreamed up by a human and how much was generated behind the scenes with AI. And yeah, some of it's fine, like a procedural quests or like maybe like minor NPC dialogue so they don't really run out of dialogue or something like that. But at some point, that's like a slippery slope. And now instead of them running out of dialogue, it's going to be writing the dialogue. So, you know, it's main quests, character designs, dialogue, the stuff that makes a game memorable. And that's not stuff you want written by a robot. And so I think if that starts happening, and it is going to, if it isn't already, is going to be a major problem. And for the industry, well, creativity and accountability, that gets messy. Who gets credit for the story? Who gets blamed if it's bad? Do you fire the robot or you reprogram the code? Like, when every AAA studio leans on it for like cost cutting and speed, it's going to start feeling cookie cutter. Your favorite devs might be involved, but the soul of the game, that spark that makes it feel alive because someone with an imagination sat there and wrote it and it came from their heart and their brain, you know, if that gets siphoned off to code, then where does that leave us, you know? The future of gaming could easily be algorithms instead of imaginations if we aren't careful. So what do we do now? We watch, we notice, we ask questions, and maybe, just maybe, we don't let the machines write the next epic story that we actually care about. AI can help, AI can empower, but it can also quietly steal the soul out of the worlds that we've come to love in this hobby of ours. So if we're not paying attention, that's what's going to happen. So congratulations, your next favorite game might be made by like a bunch of algorithms, and you won't be none the wiser because it's going to be so well made that we won't be able to tell the difference. How are we going to get mad about something we don't know about? That AI label is very important. So I hope that always stays a staple on Steam, at least. Like, if it's generated with AI, we need to know, you know? AI isn't the enemy. It's like bad decisions are. If developers use this stuff to cut corners in gaming, then yeah, we're screwed. But if they used it to take like the boring crap off their plate so they can actually focus on world building, characters, art, then honestly, that could be a good thing, and it could actually make games better in the future. And don't forget, we're obviously not powerless here. Gamers have bullied companies out of worse things. So, you know, if we start to notice it's too much AI, we're just going to riot about it. So will the AI make the game soulless, or will it free the devs to make shit like cooler than we've ever seen? I think that largely depends on how we treat things moving forward. So yeah, AI in games isn't purely evil, but it sure as hell isn't harmless either. It's a tool, and tools can be used to burn shit down, or they can be used to build things up, right? So it depends on who's holding them and how they use them. So I don't know. All I'm saying is pay attention, ask questions, you know, don't let studios quietly swap out like human creativity for cheap shortcuts and algorithms, you know, because we're too busy to notice. AI can make games, or it can strip out the soul of them piece by piece. That's basically what I'm saying. And the only difference between the two futures is us. So keep your eyes open, keep the devs accountable. Don't let the big corpos tell us what to do. You know, the best games, they come from humans, not from prompts. And yeah, that's it. I think that's all I have to say on the matter, and I appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you guys again next week. I hope this video wasn't too negative. I just, you know, I see it's a slippery slope, and I don't want to be an AI doom speaker. I'm actually all for the use of it if used properly, but I don't think it'll be used properly. So anyways, that's where we stand. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys again next week. I'm out.